Welcome, citizens of the polis. Gather around our School of Zoology to hear the finest scientists speak about the devilish bird of the night, the owl. I am Aelian, Greek writer of On the Nature of Animals.
Hello, my wondrous scholars. I am Hamsedeva from India, and I wrote the Mriga-pakshi shastra. I can't wait to debrief the night bird and all of its stoutness.
I was born to my mother and father as a babe of Como. Now I'm the elder in Pompeii. One of my famous works is the Natural Histories. We're all here to talk about this monster of the night.
I'm Thomas of Cantimpre. I am a friar from Belgium. I wrote the book on the nature of things.
I'm Aristotle. I'm sure you know of me. I'm a Greek philosopher and scientist. I wrote the history of animals.
To start this discussion, the owl has some very unique vocalizations. I have heard of the tales of how the owl hunts at night. They sing soothing songs that attract other birds and make them relax before he pounces upon them. Ha-ha!
I see them mostly in the night. I hear a whooping goo goo cry, and thus they create fear to people and other birds. They will always cry with their kala kala noises, and they cry very unpleasantly when angry.
Some guy I met on Drury Lane said that night owls hibernate for 60 days every winter, and they have 9 cries. Hew, hew!
Bubons cry out like humans, hew, hew! So you will think men are crying, luring them to death with their intrusive voices. Their cry makes them huons. They are ravens of the night.
Ravens of the night they are, but they still hunt during the day. I have heard tales of owls using lures of some kind to draw in their prey.
Oh, the difference between the dusky night and the brightness of day. In my studies, the owl seems to catch a hold of the hare and attack the birds and people at night. They don't see well during the day and see better in the darkness. Owls swiftly kill other birds and travel from tree to tree. They feel tired in the hot sun, and they would never come out of their nests in rainy or winter seasons.
My studies have also found that owls cannot see well during the day. They're much more well suited to nighttime.
Owls love the darkness of the night, for they do not suffer the pain of seeing the light. At dark, they hunt for food so they can avoid competition and bird attacks during the day.
Good work, my fellow scholars. I agree. The owl has poor eyesight in the day. I'm glad we all converged on this important point, friends.
But another important topic that we must touch upon is their physical appearance.
They are spotted in different colors, and the variations I have seen myself include yellowish, a muddled color, white, black, red, blackish red, brown, and gray. They have long and sharp beaks and long necks. The owl has a small and stout body, and they have yellowish eyes. Their feathers are rough, but their wingspan is broad.
I've observed their beak is hooked similar to a hawk with barbed claws as defense weapons. The owl has seemingly protruding feathers like ears.
It's pretty chill.
They have crazy claws that I found in my observations.
That is very interesting. I had no idea.
I know.
They use their claws, I have heard, to attack!
As I mentioned before, they attack other birds and people. They always create unpleasantness and instill fear into the birds and people of the forest. Owls are very cruel-minded birds.
I think that is a bit dramatic. Sure, the owl is the enemy of the crow, and the two eat each other's eggs. But going as far as to say that they cause unpleasantness? Tad harsh, bruh.
I feel like I said that before you. I think that's plagiarism.
What can I say? I'll learn from the best.
Enough of this catty bickering.
We're talking about owls.
Anyway, night owls waged a crafty battle against other birds. When surrounded by a crowd that outnumbers them, they lie on their backs and defend themselves with their feet. And bunching themselves up close are entirely protected by their beak and claws. Through a kind of natural alliance, the hawk comes to their aid and take part in the war.
Agreed. I also observed their their attack skills as they defend themselves against other birds with their claws of their feet and beaks. Other birds seem to have hatred towards the owl as it slaughters mice, attacks prey, and feeds on meats.
For the capture of owls, it is often the humans who become the ones captured. This witch-like creature can harm the hunters whom capture the owl and force them to do their bidding, from what I have been told by skilled hunters. However, I have been informed that one can eat the little horned owl, but only during 1 or 2 days in autumn. Any other day, and they are inedible. Facts, no printer. Say, what's a printer?
What is a printer? I should make one.
They're a delicacy.
Peculiar. I don't think I would enjoy feasting on such a ravenous creature. However, it's been documented that they feed on us. I have seen myself owls eating flesh, insects, and grains. They love to prey on corpses and flesh with bad odor.
That's crazy. From what I've seen, they feast on mice, lizards, chafers, and similar creatures. Definitely not corpses that smell bad.
No cap! That sounds like a wild tale. You must tell me more later.
As long as it's my worst enemy, I don't mind a tad.
From what I have seen, the owl feeds on dove eggs and mice. I'm unaware of them feasting on human flesh. However, I have observed owls drinking oil from the lamps of churches, leaving only traces of dung.
I do not know much about where the owl lives. This will require further inquiry, but one place that I know has no owls is the island of Crete. This island is so hostile to the birds that any owl that is brought to Cretan soil will perish.
I have been to Crete once before, and I barely made it back with all 5 toes on my left toe. Never did I witness such a ravenous creature that Ham brought up.
The owl lives happily within walls and houses. They signify those who trust in vain, hope in the death of another.
I don't know if I agree, scholar. They might be calm and good by nature.
The little horned owl has a most calm and good behavior indeed. They nest in big colonies where they perform the most cute of dances. The owls enjoy when people try to mimic their dances as they find it amusing.
By mimicking the little horned owl, hunters were also able to capture them. Common owls can be caught this way too.
The night owl is a warm owl.
Hell yeah, they are. My boys are warm.
Moving on from the views of the ancient authors, we will now look at some of the modern science about owls and see how well our historical figures did at analyzing these birds. To start, we will discuss some of the ideas about the owl's vocalizations.
Vocalizations are essential to many animals' communication. Owls are no exception. Vocalizations can be used from anything from finding food to finding fellow owls. Aelian claims that they sing soothing songs that can make their prey so relaxed that they can pounce and grab their prey easily. According to the Peregrine Front, owls are skilled hunters, but they tend to rely on being silent hunters who use their keen eyesight and hearing to locate and capture prey. He may have come to this conclusion because their vocalizations can be seen as a soothing sound. It's quite soft sounding and could honestly put me to sleep as well. Another source that we looked at is from Ham. They discussed how they have very distinct calls that go goo, goo. This description is not far off from real owl vocalizations. This author also claims that they cry very unpleasantly when they are angry, and although they may sound angry to some, owls produce a wide array of sounds for various reasons, and the amount of noise they make changes with the time of the year, and there are many seasons in which the owl species are mostly quiet, and other seasons in which they are frequently calling. The quiet season is common during non-breeding time. Hams may have believed this because certain vocalizations that owls make may sound harsher than others, making them sound angry. The next source we looked at were from Pliny the Elder and Thomas of Cantimpre. Pliny the Elder said some pretty whack stuff, but he also touches on the wide array of vocalizations that owls can produce. Thomas also touches on their sounds. He claims that they can use their voice to lure humans to death with their intrusive voices. This belief may come from their understanding of owl sounds. They can vary greatly in rhythm, accents, and length of calls. In addition to these sounds, owls can also perform beak snapping and hissing. Overall, these sources got many things right, but not completely accurate.
Now I'm going to talk about the owl's night versus day behavior. In some owl species, owls are diurnal, meaning they are awake during the day and sleep at night. exactly like human beings. But most owls mainly come out only at night and are considered nocturnal. All of the ancient scholars discussed today understood that owls are nocturnal, but I'm not too sure if they could recognize the ones who had a similar sleep schedule to their own. Owls spend most of their waking hours hunting for food, and when they're not hunting, they are either sleeping or trying to find a mate. Owls seem to fight with other birds, which Donovan will talk about soon. But most of this is done during the nighttime, according to the scholars. Owls are solitary animals until they mate and have chicks with their partners. Whether it's true if they have fights with birds, we're not sure. Usually owls are winning unless it's a bald eagle or a falcon. During the nighttime, owls can be heard hooting, screaming, and or calling out at night for the same reasons birds chirp and sing. They do this to establish and protect their territory, to woo females, and signal the presence of a predator, among other reasons. The only reason they're so vocal in the dark is because most owls are nocturnal, or at least crepuscular. Crepuscular meaning to relate to the dark. Thomas of Cantimpre was correct when he said that owls' eyes adapt to the dark better than the light. This is when they are successful hunters with impeccable night vision. They are nocturnal animals to hunt, mate, and avoid heat and predators.
The physical appearance of owls was another common topic talked about by many of our sources. I looked at different species of owls and compared their color, stoutness, and wingspan, which accurately depicted most, if not all, the varying species of the owl. A common reoccurrence of the owl's physical characteristics was their broad eyes and stout bodies. Looking at owls in the India and Nepal region, it is recognized that huge forward-facing eyes are features that make an owl instantly recognizable. The yellowing seen in the eyes is a characteristic of development in the owl as a trait of maturity. This trait is a noticeable one which really easily distinguishes the owl from other birds. Similarly, the round head is a recorded trait by Hamsedeva, which can be seen in many kinds of owls. Thomas of Cantimpre and Hamsedeva both mention the physical characteristics of their beak being hooked and long. This is accurate in modern sources claiming they have a sharp, downward-facing beak or bill and soft, cryptically colored plumage. Thomas even compares the beak to a hawk, which is accurate in the visual depiction of the owl's beak. However, the location of owl's ears were incorrect. The protruding feathers are not ears, but display feathers indicating an owl's mood similar to our eyebrows. Continuing, plumage coloration was vast and different colors and claims. Hamsedeva mentions colors such as black, blackish red, red, white, brown in color. Each species varies and depends on maturity and age.
How owls interacted with other animals, both human and non-human, was written about by all of our ancient sources. Many of the ancient authors claimed that owls are cruel animals that attack people, making them animals to be feared. Owls of various species are known to attack humans when they are defending their young or their mates. However, serious injuries from owl attacks are very rare today. Human deaths from owl attacks are almost unheard of. Perhaps many people in the ancient Mediterranean and other parts of the world, especially rural farmers who may have had to do much work at night, accidentally disturbed brooding owls on a consistent basis. This could explain why so many sources repeated this point. It also seems that many of the authors, at least those in Europe, were influenced by each other's ideas about the owl. The power of the owl while attacking, however, should not be underestimated. When attacking larger animals, such as humans, they tend to target the face and head. The talons of a larger owl species, such as the Eurasian eagle owl that some of our authors wrote about, can exert 500 psi in strength, similar to the bite of a large dog. A few of our sources also repeat the point that owls are the enemies of crows and they eat their eggs. It is well known that crows will defend themselves from predators such as owls by mobbing them, that is, calling at and harassing the predator until they leave the area. In one experiment examining this defense, a group of scientists presented a flock of American crows with models of an owl and a raccoon to see if their mobbing behavior would be different depending on the type of predator. They noted that the crows mobbed the owl model for longer and more aggressively than they mobbed the raccoon. possibly showing that crows view owls as a greater threat than other predators. Mobbing behavior by crows is often one of the few ways that one can easily see an owl during the day. The fact that most people would only see an owl when crows are attacking them could imply that crows are constantly after owls, making them seem like enemies. Aelian makes the additional point that owls eat the eggs of the crow, which today seems mostly unfounded. While owls are opportunistic hunters, they generally do not eat other birds' eggs, though some of the larger species do regularly take advantage of sleeping mother birds who are brooding on their eggs. Pliny makes the rather strange point that owls and hawks work together in the War of the Birds, which is not founded in modern science. Interactions between most species of owls and other predatory birds are typically hostile, with cooperation between owls and hawks being unheard of. A study in Ohio from Springer and Kirkley showed that red-tailed hawks would often avoid great horned owls as much as possible, and that they were less successful hunters in areas where the owls lived. They also found that red-tailed hawks and great horned owls tended to hunt different prey, with hawks consuming more diurnal, larger mammals, and owls hunting prey that is smaller and nocturnal. Pliny's idea may come from how owls do not make their own nests, but instead use abandoned nests from other birds, including hawks. Springer and Kirkley found that in the area they were studying, 59% of nesting great horned owls used old red-tailed hawk nests. Aelian, keeping with this theme of wild animal tales, puts a lot of emphasis on how the owl can control the minds of the hunters who capture them. While owls probably cannot do that, there is still significant risk involved in capturing owls. When discussing methods to catch barn owls for scientific research, Calvin and Hedgel noted that no owls were injured during our capture activities. However, we experienced great need for safety precautions for ourselves. Considerable climbing was required and was potentially hazardous, particularly when trying to capture and control an adult owl at the top of a silo or in a tree.
It is well known in ancient and modern times that owls feed on mice. Thomas was on the right track when he mentioned using owls using their talons and beak to fight off predators and catch their food. While we don't have proof other birds hate owls, it is likely other birds fear owls as they are predators in the bird family and do something called mobbing, a behavior to drive owls away. Owls eat a variety of smaller animals, including mice, rats, frogs, birds, squirrels, snakes, fish, and lizards. Thomas of Cantimpre was fascinated by owls' obsession with dung. I think there could have been a misinterpretation and observation, as owl pellets were never mentioned by any of the ancient sources. The excrement Thomas talks about could have very likely been owl pellets, which are the undigested parts of the food owls eat, like bones and hair, that are regurgitated about twice a day.
Now on to some of the final ideas about the owl, such as their habitat. Now most of the authors didn't talk much about the range of the owl. Aelian makes the bold claim that they not only that no owls live in Crete, but if any are taken there, they will die immediately. It's not quite clear where he got this idea from. Crete is home to 5 owl species today, including the Scops owl, which he writes the most about, as well as 2 that are occasional visitors from the mainland. Crete was even once home to the now extinct Cretan owl, a larger relative of the mainland little owl from the Pleistocene. This species was only discovered as recently as 1982 due to the rarity of their fossils, so the ancient Greeks probably weren't too familiar with these specific fossil remains. Thomas of Cantimpre notes that owls live inside of buildings. We today know that many species of owl will take advantage of human structures for their nests. He was probably specifically thinking of the barn owl, which is named after their tendency to nest in barns and other buildings in rural areas. Due to the fact that more wild areas where owls would have lived may have been frightening or dangerous to explore, especially at night, people may have assumed that, since they only ever observed owls in buildings, that this was their sole habitat. Aelian writes quite a bit about the mating habits of the little horned owl, which is likely referring to the Eurasian Scops owl, a common species around the Mediterranean. This species nests in monogamous pairs like most owls, and not in the large colonies that Aelian describes. The pair will call to each other throughout the night, similar to many other owls, but they do not engage in the cute dance that Aelian writes about.
Okay, and now we have some final questions for the class. Why do you think that the ancient scholars got so many facts about the owl correct? And why do you think that the scholars got so many ideas about the owl incorrect? Was their search image not broad enough?